Good morning, class. You are listening and watching to Wasa PLAR History and Geography. Again, my name is Jonathan. I am your teacher. And wow, what an incredible baseball game last night. Huge congrats to the Toronto Blue Jays who are moved on to the next round. That was one incredible, exciting game. But let's talk about geography. Let's talk about geography. Yes. Last class, we finished off lesson 4. That's right, we finished off lesson 4 of PLAR History and Geography, the geography portion. So today is an exciting day where we are going to be starting a brand new lesson on physical geography. Okay, lesson 5. This is the last lesson in terms of this course. Okay, so we are week 6 and we're at class 2 since it is Thursday. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the term. Remember, this is the 9-week term, 9-week course, but we are at week 6, class 2. So we're almost at the end, Okay, class, so like always, we're gonna take some time right now. We're gonna go back and cover the key points of what we talked about last class on Tuesday. Okay, I'm gonna cover some key points about what we talked about last class. And then we'll switch gears and we'll start talking about physical geography. Okay? Okay, let's begin. So last class we looked at urban geography. Urban geography. Okay, it is one of the main section in terms of human geography. One of the main sections. So again, as you recall, there's lots of terminology, lots of definition, lots of words that you need to define and know and understand and explain what they are. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're doing your assignments. Okay, because there's lots of what is this? Explain this. Okay, a lot of definitions, a lot of terminology. Okay, and one definition that you would definitely see on your assignments is urban geography. So what is urban geography? So as you remember, urban geography is a study of urban settlements, development of cities. Okay, we're looking at cities, towns, communities, how they developed, how they uh, grew up, how they turn into what they are nowadays. Okay, urban structure and population. Okay, we're also looking at urban problems and policies such as quality of life. Okay, so that's urban geography, looking at urban settlements and development of cities. Okay, so as city grow, problem can arise. Okay, so we're expanding on the land. Now there's less farmland. Okay, people tend to enjoy living in bigger cities because there's more things to do, more opportunities perhaps. With that being said, they can be again, like I said, there's going to be more problems such as more garbage, more waste. Okay, so those are all things that we need to take into account when we're looking at urban geography. Okay, urban geography. Okay, we also talk about ecological footprint. Next slide. Okay, I got more charts that explains. Next slide. We talked about developing countries and non-developing countries. So, for example, Canada is an example of a developed countries where we have fewer or less birth rate and death rate, and people live much longer in terms of their life expectancies. So in terms of Canada, people lives into their 70s, into their 80s, whereas an undeveloped country tend to have more births, more babies, but they don't necessarily live as much longer. They don't have a long life expectancy. Okay. Again, more charts to illustrate that. Okay, for example, Canada has fewer fertility rates, deaths. Okay, so when we're giving birth, it's less deaths. Alright, another terminology and definition that you need to remember for your next assignment is quality of life in society. Quality of life in society. Okay, so the quality of life in society is a state of being healthy. Okay, so we're not being sick all the time, we're being healthy, we're being happy. Okay, not just sad or depressed or angry. Okay, we're being happy and prosperous, which means, opportunities, wealth, being rich. Okay, so all this leads into quality of life in society. Being healthy is a reflection of living longer. Your life expectancy will grow. That's what it's trying to promote. So the higher the life expectancy, the longer society lives and improves on the quality of life. Okay, so be happy, be healthy, take care of yourself, eat healthy, uh, and hopefully that will all end up into a longer life. Okay, and like we talked about, Canada is a country that has a higher life expectancy because we have a lot of resources, good health care, lots of opportunities. Okay, okay, more charts to illustrate, more diagram. Okay. Also, last class we talked about military geography. Military geography. This is also another main section in terms of human geography. Okay, so again, you'll need to define what is military geography. So military geography is a specialized field. Okay, it's unique in terms of studying geography. It deals with natural and man-made physical features that may affect the planning and conduct of military operations. Okay. Again, we also talked about the United Nations, the UN, okay, how their goal and purpose was to promote peace, security, economic developments, uh, and helping others. Okay, then we talked about the Security Council, which is a division. Okay, so at the very top, you got the UN, the United Nations, and a part or a division is the Security Council. Okay, again, Canada is a part of the UN Security Council. Remember, Canada's role is to protect civilians in war-torn and disaster-struck countries. So again, any natural disasters or any destruction that happens to other countries, Canada will be there to help out. Because remember, Canada's role is peacekeeping, where we send troops over to areas or countries in needs, where we would supply medicine, food, clothing, and shelter. Okay, this is Canada's role. Again, this is all similar material that we talked about in terms of, PLAR history. Again, we're just expanding, building connections in terms of when we're looking at geography. Okay, Canada helps other countries in terms of, promoting human rights, uh, equal opportunities. Again, we help them with healthcare, transportation, social assistance program. Okay, countries that are less developed, where they don't have much resources or they live in poverty or have a lot of violence going on in terms of the government or with the citizens. Canada will be there to help out because that's Canada's role in terms of peacekeeping. So make sure you understand what is Canada's specific roles in terms of the United Nations Security Council. Okay, again, you'll see that again in your assignments. And lastly, last class we talked about the Commonwealth of a nation or the Commonwealths. Okay, these are unique groups or organizations of many, many, many countries uh, where they have Pacific link. They are an independent sovereign nation. They're an independent country now. What makes them unique in terms of a Commonwealth nation is that they were once ruled by the British Empire, or they have link in terms of being associated with the British Empire. That's why they're called a Commonwealth nation. Okay, Queen Elizabeth II, she is the head of state. Again, she doesn't have any political powers over these nations or these members. She's just a symbol of unity. Okay, bringing these countries together, promoting same goals and views. Okay, and these views and goals are, promoting democracy, equal opportunity, human rights, and good governance. Okay. Again, Commonwealth nation that have link or ties to the British Empire at one time, or they were once ruled by the British Empire, or a colony or a territory once of the British Empire way back in the day. Again, more information about the Commonwealth nation. Again, who doesn't belong? Okay, these are countries who have history or were once ruled by the British Empire, but have not or are not a part of the Commonwealth nation. Okay, for example, Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, United States, and Hong Kong. Okay, these are the countries that were once linked or once ruled by the British Empire, but are not a part of the Commonwealth nations at the moment. Okay, you'll see, go to assignment 10, and then we talked about assignment 10. Like I mentioned before, lots of definitions, a lot of terminology, a lot of examples. Okay, assignment 10, like we talked about last class, we're going over the industry sectors, the primary, the secondary, the tertiary. Okay, give examples, explain it. Again, you'll see what is urban geography. Again, I talked about last class and I talked about again today. Okay, nothing new, no surprises. Okay, what is the quality of life in society? Again, definition, explain it. Okay, remember all these information, all the terminology are in your textbook. Okay, so you're stuck. Always go back, refer to your textbook. If you're still stuck, let me know. I'm here to help. Okay. Again, you'll see military geography. Again, you'll see what is Canada's role in the United Nations Security Council. Again, I emphasized it again today. Describe the Commonwealth nations. Why is Canada part of this organizations? Okay, name 4 countries that do not belong, even though they qualify. Okay, no surprises. Pretty straightforward assignment. Without further ado, that leads us to lesson number 5. Okay, so human geography is now done, is now completed. Again, if you can always go back to my YouTube channel, Jeho Wasa. You can watch all my previous lessons on materials that you may have missed or want to watch again. It's all up there. Okay, but right now, class, we are going to look at lesson 5. This is it. The last lessons in terms of this course. Okay, there are 5 lessons in total in terms of PLAR history and geography. This is the last one. This is the last one. It's a pretty big lesson. Lots of topics being covered. Okay, so when we're talking about physical geography, okay, no longer talking about human, but we still will be talking about human in a way, but right now we're talking about physical geography. So some areas or topics that we are going to be talking about for the next few classes and gearing towards the end of the term is that we're going to talk about, for example, we're going to talk about landforms or land formation. Okay, we're also going to be talking about regions. We'll be looking at, trees, types of trees, types of rocks that are in the earth. We're also going to be looking at weather. What is weather? We'll be looking at climate as well. So the difference between weather and climate. Again, what's going to be looking at global warming. Again, something that you may have heard of on the news lots these days. Climate change, global warming, what is it? Again, we'll talk about it throughout lesson 5. We'll be looking at conservation. Again, if you don't know what these terms mean, don't worry. You'll soon learn it throughout lesson 5. Now I'll be looking at protection. in terms of conservation, protecting particular areas in terms of the land. And I think lastly, we'll be looking at longitude and latitude. Looking at maps, the significance of maps, and so these are just some, okay, not all, but these are just some examples of what we will be talking about, covering, expanding, exploring in terms of physical geography. Okay, so when I say physical geography, these are some of the areas that we're to be talking about. Okay, so in other words, what's happening in terms of the Earth, uh, the surface of the Earth, or what's happening in terms of the environment. Okay, again, we're still building on what we have learned in the past in terms of PLAR history and human geography. Okay, you'll see some similarities and connections and ties. That's okay. That's great because we're expanding on our knowledge and understanding. Okay, but right now we're looking at physical geography. Any questions, comments at the moment? Again, if you're following along with your textbook, I'm on page 38, 38 of your textbook. Okay, hopefully you can see my smartboard screen. If you can't, that's okay too. But this is what we'll be talking about. Again, like I said, this is a pretty big lesson. Okay, so today, our learning goals and our learning objectives and our expectations is that you will be learning about physical geography. Okay, we'll be talking about land formations, regions, the environment, distribution, movement. You'll also learn about regional diversity, landform regions, the Canadian Shield, um, the glaciers. Those are some of the topics that hopefully we can all cover today in terms of this lesson. We'll see how far we get. But again, like I said, this is a pretty big lesson with lots of topics. So I'm just gonna continue moving along. Again, if you have any questions, comments, please let me know. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer any questions. Alrighty. So let's move on. Let's continue actually. Physical geography. Again, nothing new here. You see more definitions, more terminologies. Again, as you progress through the PLAR geography assignments, again, you'll start to realize that there's lots of definitions, terminologies. Okay, nothing new here. So what is physical geography? So I'm going to underline that in blue and put a star beside it to let you know it's significant. So physical geography, that is explained in your textbook, is the study of natural features of the Earth's surface. Okay, the natural features of the Earth's surface, especially in its current aspect, including land formation and land regions, the environment, the climate, currents, and distribution of the movements of plants, animals, and humans. Okay, so everything's coming together right now. Everything's coming together. So when we talk about physical geography, like our definition has explained, okay, we're looking at trees, plants, flowers, moss, funguses, okay? Why they grow in a particular area, um, how they grow in a particular area, okay? We're looking at animals, creatures, okay? Humans, again, human geography will be linked, okay? Why do certain plants live in this area? Why do certain animals live in this area? Why can't a certain tree grow in this area, for example? Okay, we'll be exploring that. Landforms, okay? Water, lakes, rivers, glaciers, oceans, okay? We'll be looking at the land. We're looking at hills, plains, mountains, valleys. Okay, why does the west coast of Canada, for example, has, for example, something called the Rocky Mountains. Why doesn't Ontario have mountains? Okay, you will start to see that. You will still understand that. Why does a particular area has more lakes and water compared to other areas? Okay, there's all features that we will be looking at and exploring in terms of physical geography. Okay, so when we're looking at physical geography, keep all these aspects in mind. Okay, so we're looking at the natural features of the Earth's surface, especially in its current aspect. Okay, so we got land formation, looking at land regions, the environment, climate, currents, distribution, movements, plants, animals, why they move around, why they stay in this particular area. This is all aspects and topics when we're looking at physical geography. Again, so make sure you know the definition of physical geography, because you would definitely see it again for sure. Alright, sliding down. Regions. Regions. Again, you may have heard this term, but you may not necessarily know what it means. So regions, again, I'm going to underline it, this time in green. I'm going to put a little box around this one, put a little star beside it. Again, you'll see it again. So regions, an area that has a set defined characteristic is known as a region. An area that has a set defined characteristics. In other words, a particular area that has the same common features or same common characteristics. They're related in a way. It has a set defined characteristics. Okay. So, for example, if you can see my smartboard screen, if you can't imagine a map of Canada, okay. As you know, Canada has 10 provinces, 3 territories. Canada's massive, okay? The second biggest country in the world, okay? We got lots of area, lots of land mass, okay? So when you're looking at my smartboard screen, or this map of Canada, for example, you notice that we, for example, Ontario and Quebec, were known as Central Canada. Okay, this is a particular region. You got the East Coast, so you got, New Brunswick, St. John's, PEI. That's the East Coast. Okay, you got the East Coast. Then we're talking about the prairies. Okay, you may have heard that term again, the prairies. Manitoba, Saskatchewan. We've got the West Coast mountains. Okay, Alberta, British Columbia, and our territories up north, known as Northern Canada. Northern Canada. Okay, these are, you can define these in a way as regions based on province and territories of Canada. For example, when you're walking down the street or walking around in your community, you're talking to a stranger, for example, you ask them, hey, where are you from? And for example, they can be like, oh, well, I'm from the East Coast of Canada. Okay, when they're saying, oh, I'm from the East Coast of Canada, boom, you may instantly click and know that, hey, they could be from PEI, Nova Scotia, or Newfoundland, for example, the East Coast. Or you'll be talking to someone else to be like, hey, oh, I'm from the prairies. So for the prairies, you instantly know that they are from Manitoba or Saskatchewan. Okay, these are specific regions on top of a map or area. Okay. So again, definitions, term, regions. A region is defined as a set defined characteristics of a particular area. Okay, it could be, for example, natural boundaries. So it could be talk about mountains, rivers. Okay, imaginary lines in terms of looking at a map or a territory. Okay, a region. Okay, again, we're looking at space and place in this relationship. Again, a particular region or area can be defined based on its political, cultural, ideology, identity, how they're similar. Okay. So again, if I scroll down, again, you can see my small screen. I have a blank map of Ontario. Blank map of Ontario. Okay, we can, for example, break this map of Ontario up in terms of region. Okay, so I'm gonna take my smartboard pen and draw an imaginary line over here and shade Southern Ontario in green. Okay, this is, you can define this particular area known as Southern Ontario. Okay, and if I shade the rest of Ontario in terms of red, you can define this particular region as Northern Ontario or Northwestern Ontario. Okay, there's no set limit or line. Okay, this is just something that's imaginary. But again, this is an example of terms of region. Okay, regions. I just got a question here. Someone asked what assignment I'm currently on. We're currently working on PLARHG Geography. We're looking at assignment 11. Assignment 11 in terms of PLARHG Geography. Okay. Again, you can see I have another map of the world on my smartboard screen. You can see that this is the map of the world, the globe. Okay, there's lines on it. Okay, these are imaginary lines that goes up and down, east to west, north and south. Okay, so the lines that goes across, okay, from west to east or east to west, these imaginary line are known as longitude. Okay, and then these imaginary lines that goes up and down, north or south, are known as latitude. Okay, these are just imaginary lines that goes up and down across the globe. Again, they can help define particular regions, areas in the world. Okay, you may know time zone, for example. For example, here in Sulaco, we are considered in the central time zone. I also noticed that some communities up north are in the eastern time zone. So for example, if you're in the Eastern time zone, you are an hour ahead of us right now. Okay, for example, these are just, again, particular areas or for examples of regions. Okay, when I talk about region, these are just examples. Okay, when you're looking at maps, for example, there's tons of different maps you may come across. Maps are pretty significant. They can be subjective based on the creator. So if I scroll back up, you'll see something called people call cartographers. They create maps, they study maps. Okay, cartographers. Okay, maps can be subjective based on the creators, what they want to include or exclude. But maps are pretty significant because as they provide meaning and understanding between people and places and spaces. Okay. Again, lots of information right there based on regions. Okay, don't get too confused. Okay, on what a region is. Okay, so again, region is defined as a set characteristic of a particular area. So if an area has lots of mountains, okay, that could be considered as a region. For example, Canada got the west coast. That's a particular region. We got a lot of flat land, a lot of good farming areas, a lot of good agriculture. That can be defined as, in terms of Canada, be known as the prairies. The prairies. Okay, regions. Any questions? Any comments? Any confusions on what regions are? Okay, and just make sure we know the definitions, how to define regions. Again, just a reminder, we're looking at PLAR geography. We're looking at move along in terms of our course. All the material that I'm currently talking about in terms of physical geography, regions will be seen on assignment 11. Assignment 11 of PLAR geography. Okay. Again, we'll talk more about longitude and latitude again near the end of the term. Okay, but I just like to mention that right now. Okay. Okay, moving on to my next slide. Moving along. Okay, so again, we're going to continue talking about regions for a bit. Okay, so we're going to talk about regional diversity. Regional diversity. Again, this is in your textbook on page 38. I'm still on page 38 if you're following along. Okay, it's capital letters. It's underlined, it's bolded, regional diversity. Okay, Canada's pretty unique. Like I said, Canada's a pretty big country, a lot of area, the second biggest country in the world. Okay, pretty big. Okay, which means that we have a lots of different regions and lots of different characteristics in terms of which area you'll live in terms of Canada. Okay, so regional diversity. Canada has many climates. Okay, so you'll see regional diversity come up again. So I'll put a little star beside it again. Okay, regional diversity. Canada has many climate regions. Okay, that's one. Has cultural regions. Two. And then topographical regions. Okay, climate regions, cultural regions, and topographical regions. Okay, these are the three. Okay, I like to emphasize that these are the three regional diversity or three regions that we have or can be defined in terms of Canada. Okay, so don't get confused. Okay, there will be a question on your next assignment. Okay, that will ask you what are the three regions of Canada. Okay, I'm not looking for the prairies or the east coast or northern Canada. I'm looking for climate regions, cultural regions, and topographical regions. Okay, so if you're listening and paying attention, I just gave you a few hints on one of your next question on one of your assignments. Okay, so when we're looking at Canada as a country, as a nation, in terms of Canada, where is Canada located on the map, on the globe. Okay, you notice that Canada as a country has many different provinces, areas, regions that we talked about. Also has many different climates. Okay, it has many different climate. Okay, so our climate in terms of Canada can vary. Okay, so depending on where you live in Canada, it could be always cold. It could be dry, hot summer in terms of southern Canada. Dry summers in southern Canada where it's always humid. For example, if you live in Toronto, the summers are always humid. Parts of Canada are always wet. For example, if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, close to the water areas or close to the oceans, you may know that it rains a lot. You may notice in terms of you living up north, in terms of like the Yukon, Yellowknife, the Northwest Territories. Uh, it's always cold there for most of the time. Long winters, really cold winters. Um, in terms of here in Silico, it can be snowing within days now. I know snow is coming, winter's coming around right around the corner. Uh, I think some community up north, uh, north of Silico, may have already experienced snow, for example, perhaps. So again, lots of different climates based on where you live in Canada. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, two cultural regions. Okay, cultural regions. Okay, again, Canada's unique country based on its diversity, where we have many people of different ethnicity, cultural backgrounds. Okay, people have migrated from Canada from such places such as Asia, Europe, Far East Asia, South America, and elsewhere. Okay, yeah, lots of people with different background, cultural influences, religion. Okay, we have First Nations communities. Okay, but not just one First Nation community or indigenous communities. Some may be Ojibwe, some may be Creed. Okay, there's tons of diversity or different culture based on a particular community, for example, based on a particular area. Again, there's First Nation communities in northwestern Ontario, Canada. There's also First Nation communities in terms of living in British Columbia as well. Okay, just all over the place in terms of Canada, which makes Canada unique in terms of its regional cultural region. And lastly, number three, topographical regions. That just means that we're looking at areas or regions with different landforms. For example, mountains, lakes, Great Lakes, prairie plains, okay, the lowlands, Arctic regions. Okay, again, this is what makes Canada unique and diverse. Okay, so when I say diversity, diversity is defined as, being different, unique, not just one, but many different, aspects. Okay, for example, Canada has mountains. Okay, if you live in British Columbia, BC, Alberta, there's mountains. Great Lakes. If you live in Canada, you got Lake Ontario, Lake Huron. Okay, if you're in Thunder Bay, for example, or how I went to Thunder Bay or I lived in Thunder Bay, you notice that Lake Superior is right there. Okay, it's also one of the Great Lakes. The prairies, okay, really flat. Okay, not much going on right there. It's really super flat, but it's really good for growing crops and farmland. Okay, lowlands. Okay, Arctic regions. Okay, Arctic regions are up north. Uh, in Nunavut, the Yukon, Northwest Territory can be defined as the Arctic regions. Okay, because they have similar climate, for example. Okay, all unique. All this, okay, climate regions, cultural regions, topographical regions. This is what makes Canada diverse. Regional diversity. We don't just have one, but we have many different aspects that comes together in terms of regions. Okay. Again, if I scroll down, again you'll see more information in terms of different climates and based on where you live in Canada. Okay. Again, we're talking about weather and climate. Okay, so when we're talking about weather, we can talk about day-to-day weather, short-term weather, what is it like outside today, um, climate. We talk about long-term in terms of the temperature. Okay, in terms of what's happening in the current state of the atmosphere. We'll get more into details about what weather and climate are all about later on in terms of lesson 5. I would like to mention that. But right now, if you see on my smart screen, it says go to assignment 11. Okay, so let's do that. So if you have your student textbook, no, sorry, student workbook, sorry, your workbook, you can turn to page, or sorry, the assignment 11, sorry, turn to assignment 11 in terms of PLAR geography. So I move on to my next slide. You will see assignment 11, okay? Assignment 11, super short, uh, the shortest assignment you'll see on all your assignments. Just 4 questions, 9 marks, straightforward, okay? So if all of my students who are taking PLAR geography sections or need the geography section, okay, assignment 11, part of lesson 5. Question number 1 asks, what is physical geography? Again, you are defining physical geography. Again, always remember to write in full, complete sentences. Lots of details. Use all the space if needed. If you need more space, write on the back. I write on a blank sheet of paper, staple it, send it together. Okay. Again, the more details you provide, the clearer your answer, the better mark you will receive. Okay. Question number 2. What is a region? Again, more definition. You are defining what is a region. Okay, question number 3 asks, name 3 of Canada's different regions. Okay, I emphasized this earlier. Name 3 of Canada's different regions. Okay, we just talked about it. Okay, so remember, I'm not looking for the prairies, the East Coast, Northern Canada, Central Canada. Okay, I'm looking for the main 3 regions. Okay, that we just talked about in terms of this lesson. Okay, and if you get confused or don't know, let me know and I'll help guide you through it. Okay. And lastly, question number 4. Why do you think Canada has so many climates? Again, this is like an opinion question. I'm asking your thought. So your answer may vary in some ways. So why do you think Canada has so many different climates? Okay. Why does Canada is always cold in some areas, hotter in some areas? Uh, why do some areas may experience more rainfall than others? Okay, but why do you think this? Why is this happening? Okay, so again, I started off you, for example, Canada's climate varies because dot 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 dot. Okay, give your thought. And that is assignment 11. Okay, fairly short, straightforward, a lot of definitions again. Um, assignment 11 out of 9 marks. Questions? Any questions? Okay, we're starting lesson 5 right now. In terms of PLAR geography, moving on to the next session. Okay, that is assignment 11. So I do have a bit of time right now, so I'm going to continue with my lesson to see how far we get. Okay. Okay. We're still looking at, again, talking about landforms, regions. Um, we're looking at right now landform regions. So as you know, again, if you can see my smartboard screen, that's great. If you can't, right now, imagine, again, a map of Canada. Um, you can see what's outlined in green. It's known as the Canadian Shield. Okay, it extends all the way from the east coast, Newfoundland, Quebec, all up to the north. So you got part of Nunavut in there. Pretty much all of Ontario. Okay, but not really necessarily done, but not necessarily Southern Ontario. Okay, This is called the Canadian Shield. Okay. Uh, Landform regions are areas of land that have the same major surface features. So when we're talking about the Canadian Shield, for example, in terms of the regions in Canada, again, uh, in terms of its surface features, it is the biggest landform in Canada. It takes up pretty much half of Canada, known as the Canadian Shield. Okay, there's different regions in terms of landforms in Canada as well. I know there's the St. Lawrence lowlands, the Arctic regions, the far north, the Prairie Plains, the Cordelia. Okay, but the one we're going to talk about the most, or right now, is the Canadian Shield. Okay, the Canadian Shield. Again, landforms, regions. Okay, still talk about regions in a way, but talk about landform regions. Okay, landform regions are land that have the same major surface area. Okay, and the one we're going to talk about right now is the Canadian Shield. The Canadian Shield. Alright, so what makes the Canadian Shield unique and special? Actually, like I said, the Canadian Shield takes up pretty much half of Canada. It extends pretty much all north of Ontario, all of Quebec, and pretty much, parts of Manitoba, uh, parts of northern Canada, all the interior territories. But what makes the Canadian Shield unique? Like I said, it has the same surface features in terms of its Earth's features. Okay, so the Canadian Shield, it has what makes the Canadian unique is that it has poor soil and rough terrains. It has discouraged farming and extensive settlements. Okay, so in other words, the Canadian Shield does not have good soil. It has poor soil, which means that it can't really grow much agriculture or not good for farming in terms of the Canadian Shield. So if you're living in parts of the Canadian Shield or in the Canadian Shield area or Canadian Shield landform regions, you notice that it's not really good for farming. It has poor soil. Okay. However, what makes the Canadian Shield unique and special, it's rich in minerals. Rich in minerals, Stonehouse and produces metals. So in terms of the Canadian Shield, you'll see a lot of metals, um, such as, for example, you'll see copper, lead, nickel, zinc, uranium. All these minerals and metals can be found in the Canadian Shield. Okay, so I'll repeat: copper, lead, nickel, so your 5 cent nickel, zinc, uranium, all these metals, minerals, rich minerals can be found in the Canadian Shield. Okay, in the Canadian Shield. Again, Canadian Shield has all this. This region has the same characteristics, all the same characteristics. So if I move on to my next slide, I got, if you have ever been to, for example, Sudbury, Ontario, you notice that Sudbury, Ontario, is located in Ontario. It's known for mining. It's a mining city. It has lots of mining. So again, if I scroll down, I got a couple images of, the mining area in terms of Sudbury. A lot of people who lives in Sudbury are miners to work in a mine. Again, this is located in the Canadian Shield. So that mine for, for example, nickel, zinc, all the rich minerals that may be found underneath the Earth's surface. Then I have a picture of the, tourist attraction in Sudbury known as the Giant Nickel. So if you've been to Sudbury, Ontario, you see this giant nickel. Okay. This is what makes the Canadian Shield unique. Okay, so I think I am going to stop it today right here. Looking at landform regions, we'll talk about the Canadian Shield. Lots of new materials that we talked about in terms of physical geography. We talk about, landforms, regions, regional diversity, landform regions, Canadian Shield. Okay, lots of material being covered. Okay, just a reminder, assignment 11 can be worked on. Very, very short. So why don't we take the time right now, okay, class, right now, to work on assignment 11. Okay, there's only 4 questions. I'll go back towards assignment 11. Okay, and you can answer this question right now. Okay, if you have your workbook with you. Okay, I'll be right here. If you have any questions, if you're stuck on anything, again, if you're working on any other assignments, again, if you need any difficulties, need help, um, don't be upset, don't be discouraged. Okay, uh, I know some questions can maybe tricky or maybe worded funnily, but I'm here to help. Okay, I'm here to help. Again, okay, so again, I'm gonna give the class few minutes right now while I'm still on the air live, chatting, talking. Okay, again, I want to thank everyone of all the communities who have tuned in, listened, and watched on this Thursday morning over here at Wausau and Sioux Lookout, listening to PLAR, History, Geography with me, Jonathan. Again, okay, I'm here right now. Um, I can answer any live questions. Again, you can always email me. You can always find me on Facebook. Again, please continue to work on those assignments. Don't be discouraged. Don't get upset if you're stuck. I'm here to help. Okay. Again, there's no surprises. I do my best to emphasize what's being covered on your assignments. Again, all the answers, all the materials are outlined in your workbook. Okay. Really look at the subtitles, where they're capital, where they're bolded, where they're underlined it. Those should help you define answers. Again, if you don't have internet access, so you can't email me or Facebook me, you can always call me. Call me at my work, call me on my cell. I go back to my study guide. Okay, you can call me at the WASA, so you can call me at the 1-800 number. So 1-800-667-3703. It's toll free. My extension is 2221. Okay, I'll repeat the toll free number for WASA. The office is 1-800-667-3703. You can just ask for Jonathan, the PLAR history and geography teacher, or ask my extension, which is 2221. Okay.